go. Is that quiet? That seems quiet. There you go. Better. Morning, Mojo. Morning, barely usable. How you doing? Okay, is it running? Nice. Okay, so after yesterday's adventure of getting the data to fed into the pipelines, I'm going to focus today on processing the changes. So the way I'm thinking of doing this is I don't want to play with Akka again. I don't think Akka is necessarily the path I want to go. Oh, it doesn't like that term, but I'll allow it. But it doesn't like that term, just as a warning. No, it doesn't. We'll fix that shortly. There you go. So it's not actually a green screen. It is actually VX split camera. Yeah. It's actually all software green screen. But because I didn't have the actual key light on, it was struggling more. So it was just using the light off the monitors and the lamp beside me to figure that out. So, thank you very much for letting me know that. Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to receive the changes in here. Again, the changes contain not only the list of changes, but the entity type that they've come from. So we're going to process that. I'm just going to use Kafka into Mediator right now. I'm not going to worry about performance here. And what that's going to do is it's going to produce an enriched copy of the data, I think, at this point. Because it's going to receive the user and the planning item from from Kafka itself. I've broken up the two receivers so that this can be run independently and it's focused just on the changes. It also means that it's going to have a different group. Kafka, the way Kafka works is you give it a consumer and you can spool up as many copies of that consumer as you want, as long as they share the same group. They'll process the requests like that. Functional, hello, how you doing? How's it going? So yeah, we'll be able to process them separately. So all I'm going to do in here is literally hand this straight off to sender, right? I never experienced a consumer group to fail in production for mysterious reasons. Also, hi. Hi. So yeah, although these are both consumers, I'm going to break out the two entries specifically because this one will be processing the actual changes. This one will be consuming the actual entities as they get produced and storing them. One thing I still have to handle here. Oh man, I'm getting the rain from Debbie. We've got 6 days straight of rain, which is annoying because in 2 weeks' time, so as a heads up, in 2 weeks' time, there'll be no streams for 3 days, 2 or 3 days at least. Um, I'm traveling for work, and then the week after that, there'll be all long streams because I've got the week off work, and then a couple of weeks after that, I'm away for work for another 4 days. So there'll be big gaps in the stream coming up. Glad I didn't have to decide whether we should take data loss or data duplication due to that. Due to the consumers. Yeah. I kind of like the resiliency of Kafka with in terms of the messages so far. I haven't seen much. Um, well, I haven't put much effort in so far into deduplication because other than date event, the events and some stuff, or the date of the updated event. I'm sure I will learn more lessons as we go through and start testing this. Mr. Jones, good afternoon. How's it going? So sender.send. So here we're just going to produce a command. Um, um, process changes or something like that, right? And we're going to pass in all the event data. And so this is just going to receive it and pass it on into the right format. So it's an adapter as such, I suppose, this component. In here, let's just call this process changes for right now. So the challenge this poses is actually a a timing one, right? I could, in theory, receive this change and it mention a user or a planning item that I have no access to. We're capturing the title and description of the planning item because if the planning item changes, actually, I probably don't need to receive planning item. Oh no, review date added. We probably don't need this. We'll return back around on that one afterwards. User for sure. Project maybe. Yeah, we're gonna need projects. We need projects. What else do we publish on the? So, what I'm tying this to is the planning item integration event. This is the only solid component of the system so far, right? That we have. If the requirements change or the associated projects change, right? So we probably need requirements captured in here, and because we're now publishing requirements independently, right? So if a requirement changes, well, the requirement changing is a separate component. That does give a challenge. No, it doesn't. If a requirement's added or removed, we'll be able to specify that later. Yeah, let's worry about the user for right now. Let's get the process in place. Sorry, I was thinking about the data changing, but I was thinking about the temporal aspect of it. I have this record. I have an update to the planning item come in because I change a planning item. Right, it's not going to calculate. I change a requirement. Say, it's not going to calculate that there's a difference in the requirements if I just change the content of a requirement. and I can't do that now anyway, right? So there's no actual reality that exists in right the second. So that's not a worry. The only time that it actually becomes a problem is if I add a requirement or remove a requirement, etc., and vice versa, or same as associated projects. Um, but again, we'll worry about them um, once we get this first case dealt with. Um, okay, so public record command. Okay, let's go and look at what this is going to receive. So again, I'm not going to just pass all this forward, right? This needs to, I need to review it, and again, I'm going to adapt it. Actually, let's process. Let's do process addition. Let's put some logic in that receiver. Deflux, how are you doing? I'm putting a presentation together on what is iLogger and why people should use it. Fair enough. Process addition. Process update. We're going to be explicit there. I'd love to know your thoughts on why you should use it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do if event change type equals created, then this is going to be process addition. They never heard of it, but you're building on .NET. Even aside from the fact that it has open telemetry integration, iLogger has been around for several versions. Well, we established today iLogger was introduced as a standard in .NET in like 4.6. So it's been around for the better part of 10 years, right? .NET 4.6. Yeah, 4.6 released in 2015. So 9 years. Well, yeah, the concept of logging is much older, right? Um, some of someone, yeah. Else awake sender dot send. We're gonna do process update dot command in here. Event that. I love how that makes it work. Okay. So we're not gonna. What we're not gonna do there is process. We're gonna make it do this part. So we don't need the change type. So yeah, I did that part already. Go here. Let's go to default change event. So entity type identifier, event ID source, user identifier ID occurred on. Really, that's it. Oh, the changes as well, but we're gonna get to that in a second. So date time. That is that. That is that. That is that. Occurred on. And then we need an enumerable of something there for changes. Changes is a Actually, changes in iDictionary, I think, of string object. I don't think it's much more. iCommand. So, okay, let's go here. Some people need to start using um, kappa symbols, just in case people take it. The old COBOL app I'm working with occasionally. Of course, a super user has a secret password that is the same for all installs. So I'm using Azure Key Vault to integrate directly into Visual Studio to store secrets. What do you guys use? Actually, on that topic, and I'll need to find out where I saw it, but when I was doing the attachment stuff, so right now the attachment stuff is not stored. There's no key vault stuff because I'd not done key vault stuff. I'd not done storage stuff before, right? So I got the stuff working, and it's just using credentials in my app settings. But if I remember correctly, at the time, the recommendation was not to use key vault, but I can't remember what the recommendation was to use. I'll see if I can find it. That's installed. That's installed. Oh, yeah, okay, it really is installed. In this app, nothing right now, other than the app settings, because again, I haven't figured that part out. There's no point over engineering and putting key vault in when I don't know what else like. Well, there's things like auth zero and stuff, so it's just stored in the app settings right now and not committed to the Git repo. One needs to educate themselves on this to security so they can take the right secure decisions. Yeah. .NET user secrets is a well, yeah, the auth zero stuff is in the secrets file, so that can't get committed to the repo. But that's really a development solution, I think. Well, yeah, it is. Um, well, if you've got to share things, um, if you've got to share things like access to, if you're not allowed separate accounts, i.e., each developer is responsible for maintaining that, and that thus can use user secrets. Um, but if you have to share them, then yeah, something like Key Vault is probably the better way. But you've still got a single point of failure there, right? Yeah. Like for database logins for dev, I mean, I've done something I've committed the credentials for the database to the repo, but then the repo also contains with it the password anyway, because this isn't what's going to get deployed, right? I'm going to override all these app settings when I go to actually deploy it. From a development perspective, it's at least a password. Um, Ways we've done that in the past is a former team when it was developer machine because we did everything on Docker. Um, is just creating a no password SQL login, and you know the keys to the kingdom are right there. Um, because you develop them, right? There's nothing harmful about that. But then there was no password at all, and no one could risk changing a password or setting a password. So with no password in a team, um, then no one's going to accidentally, oh, I don't like that, I'm going to set a different password, and then commit that back, and everyone's stuff breaks. Yeah, so everything from development of this is all in Docker, right? So the SQL Server, all the databases, etc., are all run um, locally. Um, Email, Slack messages, the app services is trusted by SQL Server, something like that. Gotcha. So far, it's Azure Key Vault, developing in a way where everything runs local, no password needed, and .NET user secrets. What else? Let me see if I can find. Um, so, um, where was it? Um, um, oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay, they do. Um, I just found best practices for blob storage. That's what I was looking up. I could have sworn I saw an article, and I think I pointed out at the time that said, and in Microsoft's account, that said don't use Key Vault, but that says use Key Vault. It actually says use Entra, but being that I'm accessing it at an app level, then the account keys and stuff would have to be in Key Vault. One line doesn't work with a team. One line is the team. Yeah, I mean you got to morning one line, by the way. I don't think I said that. I apologize. I mean, it very much depends on whether you need to share things or not. Yep. Uh, what am I doing? Oh yeah, public class handler. Sorry, I'm kind of thinking about that and um, considering what this means at the same time. Command handler, command result. Right, so I'm gonna just stub that out for a second, and I'm gonna kind of have a think. So a lot of this is going to be built off the entity type, right? Um, the entity type is going to process this. So we're gonna end up with a DTO of some form here. Let's make sure we can send the changes though first. So process addition, return value task. They're going to be almost identical. The only difference is how they do what they do. But I put it in all of docs, copy paste from app settings to user secrets and fill in the actual values. So this is going to be new process addition. Command event dot entity type event dot identifier event dot source user identifier event dot occurred on event dot changes select s goes to s dot. That's not that at all, is it? I've been playing with Microsoft Entra integrated auth. I'd be interested to know, like, from is Entra like configuring Auth0, or is it more like configuring Active Directory? Right? Is Entra kind of a layer that looks very much like Auth0? Okay, so I vastly underestimated what this is. This is not this. This is object tuple. Can I name them here? I can't remember. No, you can't name them. You can't do a name tuple there. For the sake of getting it moving forward, I'm gonna select new key equals s dot name value equals s dot before s dot after. And again, I'm just trying to it's an adapter. It's not really. I don't want to pass forward the same object. So yeah, both I think. So again, these are going to look almost identical. So I'm just going to do that. The only difference is the actual command, right? And we need to make that same change to that part. That needs to be that. Okay. So I'm doing the easy stuff first, by the way. This is where it gets a little bit more difficult. So if you're new to the stream, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to share. I'm realizing that, so karate last night was a lot of self-defense stuff. So it was a lot of wrist grabs and throws. That does not make for a fun morning of using a mouse. I need to move and get my forearm more on the desk. Support that wrist. So based upon the entity type here, so the entity type is going to be, right now it's going to be planning item, but it could be very shortly after this. It could be requirement. It could be user. Unlikely right this second. I'm not going to go down that path. And what I want to do is I'm setting up for building out the future. Right. I'm not trying to solve every problem. I'm not trying to solve every problem I think I'm going to have. I'm trying to solve the problems I do have right now, which primarily is planning item. So planning item changing. If I change the assigned user of a planning item, this is the focus of what I'm trying to concentrate on right this second. Then I need to know that the name changed from Bob to Jim. I do not need the GUIDs. I need a kind of uh-huh. So this is a translation. This pipeline, as I'm calling it right now, is a translation of, hey, this information is coming in, and we're going to publish it out enriched. So I'm not sure. That's why it's called pipelines. I'm not sure what it does, but it does channel this data into one end and out the other is the goal right the second. And then changes the view, sorry, here will consume this enriched stream. Now there's a bit of a challenge in this. And the challenge is that I might not know all the information, right? It might not have arrived. So although this might seem relatively simple, and actually I could get this first version working without knowing that, I have to quickly turn around and build for that fact because I cannot guarantee that topics are always up and running at the right time, which means that this has to say in somewhere in here, it has to say, okay, well, do I have all the information? No, I don't. Um, let's stop and uh, um, resume that later, which is going to pose a challenge because I don't have any time-based concepts in here right the second. Like I don't have any triggers or weights or anything like that available to me. So we're going to have to solve that problem. So process addition. Let's do the dumb thing first, right? Um, well, we're always going to need this, so we always have source user identifier. So my thought is what we're going to produce is something like this, but source user, right? So it tells us who it was, right? We probably end up with the identifier still, right? We still end up with that. We're just again enriching the stream. And what we do is we publish a more um, sorry, we publish a more enriched version of that data. Um, so this is what comes in. This is what we get. So we're going to go and gather this information. Then we're going to say, okay, well, what type, what entity we're going to get. So we get like entity type is planning item. Yeah. So based on the entity type, we know what these fields can be. So we know what we're resolving. We just need to kind of put a bunch of resolvers together. These are going to say, oh, well, it's this field name. Okay, then here's how I handle that piece. Um, so what's that going to look like? This is one of the areas I enjoy the most about software development. It's not just solving the problem, it's the design of the software to solve the problem. Right? Like the larger system, yeah, the flows of data, the things it does. But then when you get down into this sort of stuff, this is where you can have some fun. Um, this is where you can over engineer the heck out of something, right? You can spend a long time doing something that is probably solved. You don't see the other solution because you don't know what you're trying to solve. And you can end up going down a path, and then eventually something becomes very apparent, or maybe it doesn't, and you've created this crazy process. But if someone else sees it, they might be able to say, "Oh, well, did you know this exists? Or this exists?" And you go, "Ah, no." But now you appreciate the problem that you're solving and what that tool actually provides you, so you can then learn either to choose a library or you can build yourself. So I kind of like this well, no, I love this component of software development. I don't quite know how to solve this problem. I'm going to go off and figure it out. And I'm going to hack a little bit. I'm going to try and clean it up. I'm going to try and make it clever. Um, yeah. I've had people complain at me trying to be clever before. I think it's just having fun with what you do. Um, And sometimes the clever solution opens up the simple solution that you might not have seen the first time. I was trying to avoid putting silly names on things. So let's we're going to deal with update first because update is the case that I'm most concerned about. Addition is going to have an empty change set, right? So it could potentially ignore addition. There's no benefit in enriching that change set. Um, so we're not going to worry about addition for right this second because again, addition is going to come with these completely empty and a 0 there because that's just the object was added to the system. It's the first time. We're just flagging that it's been, made available. Okay, it's process update. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna say find use entity type, gather processor. Then we're gonna say processor dot enrich something. There's another name for that. What's the synonym? It's not necessarily enriching, it's actually kind of I call this a resolver or a processor, yeah. Um, it's kind of reconstituting the data based off the identifiers. Aggrandize, there we go, enhance. Cultivate, refine, supplement, expand. I mean, and this might seem nonsensical, right? Because I've got the data in one database. I'm trying to say, calculate what changed, publish that change stream, go and find that data, pull it back in, attach it again, publish it down to, and then receive that event in a change in a view system that actually has all the data anyway. But the reality is, I don't want the view to be responsible for owning that job, because if view owns that job and say I want to publish that to an email or as that enriched form, then I can't do that, right? So my daily processing email could actually receive this same stream and add that in as here's the things of, here's entities, here's the thing that changed. So notifications may or may not consume this, but the idea is that the view is just the view. The view should be responsible for displaying the information and nothing more. It's not going to take on that processing load. And yeah, we're splitting the system across many different services. It does make it more complicated overall, but it does allow us to scale each piece as we need. It does allow us to break things up into little pieces that aren't blocked by other pieces. So overall, the system should actually respond with far less resource, although more spread out, in a pretty timely manner. That's hard to measure or quantify in any single way, shape, or form, by the way. So that is going to be something I'm going to have to learn how to do in terms of load testing, in terms of, understanding the actual performance metrics of the application. That'll be a whole instrumentation series coming later on. Um, what is this? Augment. To augment is to make greater, improve, enhance, improve, embellish. Enhance is probably the right word. Good morning, Coding Crossman. Welcome back. How was your holiday or your vacation? Forgot what country I was in then. Enhance. We'll just go enhance. We'll spell it right as well. So the idea here would be we'd enhance this data. I'm just so sore from the gym. I know that means you know you did something. Oh, it was interesting. Two vehicles break down. Oh no, that ain't good. God, I skipped the last exercise. Skipped. Um, let's go this way. Just let's try and do this. And in the end, I had to buy a new truck. That's not a good vacation. Buying a new truck to get home is less than ideal. Oh, man, I found a for each loop in the code and I have no idea what it's doing. Oh dear. Oh wow. That is looping through the properties of a JSON object, taking each one, looping through its properties, and then converting each one's, and then deserializing each one's content, and then adding it to a list. That is interesting. Yeah, so far the week-long vacation costs around about $42,000. Wow. I thought my British vacations cost a fair bit. Seen lots of coding errors already. I've even created my fair share of them. We all have. No one's perfect. We've all created less than ideal code. But you ever taken a vacation? Yeah. I'd say you need another vacation, but I think you're bad luck. As far as after something similar with this type of content, but not like this. Oh. Yeah, good luck. Whatever you do with this type of content, even if it ends up like that, should be a lot more readable. But yeah, that does look like it's looping through nested JSON object properties and casting each one to content nodes. So okay, we have what's this going to be? This is going to be a planning item processor. Um, um, public interface. I change this processor. So what's this object I want to return gonna look like? Like, I'm gonna write this. I want to I want to refine it, and I'm trying to think about the refined solution too quick. I don't know what I want exactly, so writing a unit test is going to be hard. So this is where that balance is. I don't know what the design should look like, so I want some form of design before I try and unit test, because that, as much as unit testing can help you kind of evolve your code, it works best when you understand what it is you're trying to write in the first place. Well, I don't understand what exactly I'm trying to write. A unit test would be kind of, well, they would be very broken. What I'm trying to contemplate is what do I actually want to return ultimately? Um, so all right, I'm going to take something that looks like that, right? So let's do public class uh change. It's interesting. Um, all right, so there's a razor component that was massive. The code behind had regions in it was so big, so I broke it down into 4 separate components with a couple callbacks. Gonna send this in and see if my colleagues shriek. Also faces a bug where things were not rendering correctly due to how complex and convoluted the razor file was. I mean, you create indirection there. Mm. Change has changes. Um, so the concept I'm going for here is once I've got this pattern in place, I can just call this and then publish them out. All right. So this is standardized. Then I can just add these and publish all the changes. Um, can I do that? Uh, Do I want to do that? Do I want to do what I'm about to do? I'm thinking that that is a record unto itself rather than being a class. This is, I think, interesting. Let's go with that. Right. That's okay. What do you like there? Oh, because it's not like that, is it? No, that doesn't matter. It matters if it's a property on a class, but it's not. Change. That's just new change. Entity type, identifier, source user occurred on changes. Oh, derp. That's because that's that. I still don't think that necessarily matters. That cleans that up and it stops me from having to copy these parameters around. And also, it knows about the application layer. So this is an okay direction. This is a class that is available to me. So I don't have any issue necessarily doing this. So the goal here is we'll come back around on that name. The goal here would be to change. Enhance. That's a bad design. Enhance should take the change. It's going to return an object. That basically is going to say there's going to be a base. Um, so this is one where the base class will do its thing. It will get the source user. This is a standard thing. This is done in everything, so there's no point repeating that effort per change processor. It'll create a version of this, and then this thing it wants to fight me there. Ah, stop fighting me on it. It just if I put my cursor there, right? If I put question mark, it jumps to the other side. It automatically assumes thing, nullable thing, actually gonna be ref thing, enhanced version of thing. Right. This is gonna take that ref to a thing, enhanced version. Why is list x equal new better than How do I feel about this? So this would be a changes processor base. Don't need an interface for this one right this second. So my thought is what I'll do in the changes receiver over here, what I'll do is I'll register these things, right? So I'd basically um, create a class that is kind of uh, a producer and inject that into here, right? So this would be I don't want to write the word factory again. I did that yesterday. Processor factory, something like that, right? And then we, you know, factory dot fetch right processor, and then we'll call processor dot enhance or something with a change. And then we'll have to turn around and publish it. So we need the publisher in here. I think that works for now. So was not the thing is internally defaults, that's not actually an array being cast back to a list. It's an internal operator. It kind of now, even though it looks like an array, it's not. I know what it looks like, but internally it gives you the best type for what it is. It's not a cast of any form. It's just the collection initializer. It's more of a like what's better, not equal to, or is not is a lot clearer than not equal to. New is a lot more clearer than. Yeah. Mr. Ranholm, good morning. How are you doing? Yeah, I mean, it is something that I would say you want to make sure that your developers are consistent on. If they're changing that for the sake of it, that's not good. They should just change the rest. But if that's the code they were touching and they decide to do that, then clearer practices. Um, yeah, but it's worth discussing. At the very least, that's worth discussing and making sure the team agrees. Like if they think that the same, you know, uh, I mean that is the Microsoft way of doing things now, right? The square braces for that. I don't have an issue with it. I do it all over the place. I actually prefer it over new. Um, because it's really what I mean. I do mean, oh, I want this as it's like a default empty collection. Um, but but it's those little things that can make code, you know, reading correctly, or it can make code just looking that inconsistency can make readability hard in certain instances. That one not so much, but it does. Considering you gave an example that they'd introduced it to 2 lines, but there was examples above it that still had new. Like, why? Why not? That's the sort of thing you should just agree upon, doing as a batch rather than doing it. And that's the sort of thing. If I was going to do that and introduce the array index, the collection initializer rather than the new, I would say, hey, um, do we agree upon doing this? Can we make this change? Right. Okay. Now let's change these lines in this class and make it a single commit of that change so that you can actually explicitly see it was a deliberate effort when you go to the PR. So in these processes, basically what I'm going to need to do is, and again, for each, that's a bad, that might not be change. Ah, pop up. That's fine. Let's go change details. For each change in change details that changes. Okay, that reads a little bit better. We'll enhance that a little bit more later. What we're going to do is change dot key is going to so now this will be the property name on the object, right? So this is where this gets a little bit messier because if I change the property name, the entire system breaks. But it's not something I want to worry about right this second. Right, there is a definite downside to doing it this way, what I'm doing so far, and I am aware of that very fatal bug. Um, in that if I change the name of a property on the object, on the um the planning item change event, for example, then the entire system is kind of balked because it's not going to have this now. I can't even remember how long ago I started using an auto formatter. I do remember spending time formatting my code. Don't miss that. That sort of stuff seems like a chore, absolutely. But in reality, you gotta um you've got to try and avoid random changes to the Git history. You got to try and avoid quirks because someone has a different formatting style, and it seems relatively trivial. But you don't get in when you're working with a team. You don't get to imply your own personal style uh, on the rest of the team. And a functional team, a good functional team, can discuss through those things, agree upon them, put into place practices to enhance those things and then move on from them and not get stuck by them. And yeah, you're not going to win every battle. Some things you're not going to agree upon. Some things you are. Um, that's a challenge. Yeah, my peers are not the discussing type. Then you're going to have issues. It's going to be hard to not conflict there, especially considering you are making some opinionated changes, or you're wanting to make opinionated changes. If they don't want to discuss it, you're going to come up against some barriers. Hey, Kindle, how you doing? No docs here. I don't write docs. Oh no, this comment. Let's get rid of that. That was good. By the way, if you are enjoying any of this content, by the way, if you like this sort of stuff, uh, One Line is also another .NET streamer. Does a lot of Blazor and just awesome stuff. So well worth checking out. If you are new to this stream and you are enjoying what I'm doing at all, highly recommend checking out OneLine. And then when Twitch lets me again, I will provide some more shout outs because, you know, this is true. Yes. It's a great chill place to go and hang out. So I highly recommend. Hey Sally, how you doing? I'm doing good. Lying in a person suit. Still wonderful though. Okay. So yeah, like I said, this is a very flawed first approach to this. This does not have to be perfect, but what I need to do is get the pieces in place to figure out what I don't know. Right. And this is a challenge when you're building something like this with this complexity. You know, from a PM's perspective, this is just seeing what changed on the screen. So it's tempting to try and rush through to that and get that built. But in reality, there's no point, well, there's no benefit in rushing it because all you end up with is a very hard coded jumble. And I'd rather try and refine the solution, can not create the perfect solution out the bat, but try and create something that I can read back and understand and refine and improve. Like things like this. How am I going to tackle this? Right. I don't have a good way of doing this. Right. Now, one way, I could do this. Let me see. Can I do this on change in on item change? Can you do it this way? I don't want to reference. Yeah, I do. Right. So what I could do is something like this. I could try that. Then if I rename the field, this gets renamed and everything matches up. You still have a problem because historically your data could change. It could be different. I need this library just needs to be referenced from the application because I'm going to publish an event. So it's not a wrong thing to include that library. So we're going to go with that for right this second. On the calculation of changes side, we actually do the what property change. So, and it is based off the event, not the core data, because the core data does not have that information. So what this is going to do, it's kind of, I'll need a similar sort of pattern, right? I need to basically, okay, get the actual processor, and that processor will have a lookup, say. This is not easy. Because each one of these, let's say, public class assigned, actually, say user, it's going to let a user resolver for right this second. It needs an I repository of user. And then public user resolve GUID identifier. You'll see where I'm going in a second. Repository. And then this is repository dot first to defaults. That has to be nullable. Because if we can't resolve it, then we don't want to fail entirely. New. Do we have a specific entity by identifier? Yeah, we do. Entity by identifier spec user identifier. So we need a cancellation token there. It's a cancellation token. Await. Return. So in this case, it's nice and easy. Maybe most of them are easy. But we need the resolvers because what we need to say is, okay, well, again, when I said here, we need to get the basic, the thing. That's thing, by the way, and that's thing. And that's thing. So we're going to need a user resolver in here because I've got a feeling I'm going to end up with I service provider in here. I don't like this, but I'm kind of thinking I might need it. Could someone explain to me how production plus transport from Singapore to Sweden can be faster than the handling and delivery of the package domestically by the Swedish Postal Service? Um, no, other than it seems like domestic postal services are not very good at actually doing what they're built to do. I don't think it's unique to Sweden either. The reason I'm thinking I might need service provider in here is because basically what I'm kind of considering here is some sort of private eye dictionary string um, type resolvers. And then this would be basically this and type of user resolver. And then eye service provider. I don't like injecting service provider. It feels dirty to do that because it's like, hey, I don't actually know what my dependencies are. I'll figure them out. So could you just give me the tools to figure them out? So I don't resort to this very often. I don't know whether it's actually, I mean, I have seen it used quite a lot. So I'm not sure it's not an acceptable practice, but it just feels bad. So the point of this would be var resolver equals, that's still lacking, isn't it? I still have context to give. No, no, no. Yeah, there's still some. It's not just about a user of a name, of an ID. I'm not crazy about default constructors. I mean, I can see the point, but I'd like to have them generate read-only variables, or at least to be able to. Yeah, the primaries. I mean, yeah, it does create a weird naming convention, right? Because technically, that I don't think that's a public. I think it's a private. It'd be nice if it defaulted to that. Someone on the same topic, shipping time does what? Is that we supported a game farm, kind of like Kickstarter for a gaming table. We were one of the last pledges, and I expected to receive the table around October this year. June 2022. And, I've had some. I've stopped doing Kickstarter. I will not do any crowdfunding stuff anymore. I think repository will be a function scope variable, whether whatever is a private class scoped. whatever is a public property. Yeah, yeah. But repository is scoped here. But what I'm thinking here is I don't need to do this way. I need to basically say I need to resolve a change. So this is kind of a interface. Change resolver, and it takes a. It needs to return something that looks like public. And by the way, this is how I develop a lot of software, right? I don't always do this on stream. Sometimes I leave this sort of stuff to off stream because I don't like the struggle. I just decided to do it on stream today. I'm not I'm not opposed to changing things around. I'm not opposed to deleting things, and I'm just kind of evolving it as I go. I'm not trying to overthink it, but just trying to solve each problem as it comes up. I don't mind if it's a company I know I just want to support. Yeah, yeah. I don't mind supporting people trying to build something cool. I think, yeah, I kind of the same thing, right? Um, but I don't know. The bigger Kickstarters, the bigger toys are the ones I would like to see, and I've seen too many of them fail. I've lost way too much money trying to back Kickstarters that seemed realistic, um, that just weren't. Although one I did get refunded for because a bigger company bought the product and then chose to never deliver it and just gave everyone their money back. So there must have been some interesting IP there that they swallowed up to be able to afford to refund the entire Kickstarter. I think that was a couple of $100, and it was 2 or 3 years between backing and that. Okay, so what the reason I'm thinking about this right now is um um what I'm let's call it, as I see it. So this is meant to be string name, right? That's the property name, and then it's going to take. I want to do it this way. I've only been bitten once by it. There was a super advanced VR device, would have been my first real VR device, that had the same power as its major competitor at 1/3 of the price. It just quietly fizzled out. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm thinking of here is before, after. So this returns public. I mean, I don't think that really matters. I don't think that matters at all right this second. So this is going to be the task of enhanced change T, resolve T. All right, friends, I'm at work. I don't want to be at work, so now I'll be leaving work for today and go home. Okay, then. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out. I do appreciate it. And if anyone has not met Thindle before, which I should not be able to do because I forget about the timeline, It does also Streamer, also does .NET, does some very uh, does a lot of stuff of upgrading from older .NET to newer frameworks and porting that across. Um, is also a very chill stream to hang out in, and very knowledgeable. So highly recommend. Safe travels, Sindel. Okay, so what I'm thinking here is this is going to take in string name and then so the problem is this isn't just this field, right? It's I'm assuming the property type. So I can't just call, because I can't just call, right, var resolver equals resolvers changed, um, if resolvers dot try get value of change dot key out type resolver type, right? It's not nullable, is it? I've said try and resolve it. If you can't resolve it, then don't bother. We're then going to do service provider dot get required service, and that's going to take resolver type. Right, var resolver equals I change resolver. And then the idea would be we say we're kind of pushing back into this thing, whatever this thing is, this enhanced change type, right? So public interface, enhanced change, public string name, public object. For this is looking very familiar. Enhanced change. Sometimes you need the array. No, I'm creating a class I can implicitly. How do I do that? Enhanced change dot. I always forget this one. I always forget how to implicitly implement an interface. That's not. What do you like? Does that matter? You do implicit implementation again. I haven't done this in a long time. Implicit implementation. So do I mean implicit or explicit? What do I mean? Explicit implementation. Ah, derp. Object I enhanced. Enhanced. Wow. enhanced. I probably should change that. I'm going to misspell that a lot. Before, before. Wow. Why don't you like that? Yeah, I suppose I need the get set, don't I? Get before set before equal value. Ugh. I think I know what you mean by implicit or explicit. Do I mean explicit? I mean explicit. Sorry, I've never done this. Can you explain this, or would you recommend I just look it up? I can explain it a little bit. So basically, what I'm doing here is I'm saying, okay, well, I want to expose the same properties on the um, inherited instance or the implemented instance of enhanced change, right? But they have a different type than the base class, than the base interface, or even the base class. This can be done. So what I'm saying here is when you cast this object, if you treat this class as an I enhanced change, you will get these properties, right? Only when it's an I enhanced change. Now, ultimately, what they're doing is they're still referring to the underneath. So this will break if you try and set it to something that's not actually valid. But it does allow you to redefine these. So if you're using an instance of enhanced change of t in your actual code, you'll see before and after as t, right? But if you're treating like a collection of these things as I enhanced changed, then you will be able to still refer to before and after. You just won't get the richness of understanding the type at runtime or compile time. So this allows me to make this more generic now. So I can just say this is an I enhanced change at the change resolver, and I'll guarantee that I'll return something that returns that. Yeah. So I just forget the implementation code. I just need to look it up. So it's explicit. So it's when you are treating this as an I enhanced change. So if I was to do some behavior in an abstract class and everything was referring to I enhanced change, then I would only have before and after as objects. I'd have to understand what they were. But if I'm working with it with its correct type and setting its correct type, then I can actually do this. So yeah. In this particular case, it's not really going to make much difference. I probably could get away with this, but I wanted to just give myself that option. Because if I do it that way, string name, and this is object before, object after. Panda X23, that thank you very much for the follow. Hope you're well. If you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to join in. Right now, I am trying to over-engineer a changes solution. Yeah, so let's make this I change resolver, right? Which automatically now makes this take string name, and this is going to return an enhanced enhanced change. So this is going to take object before, object after. So what we can do in here is we're going to say if before is not period, or after is no. Hold on. Before and after. Before could be null. If before not null. No, I've not made them nullable. Can I deal with nullable? Guess we're gonna find out. Yeah, that's for unit testing later on. We'll figure that out. But ultimately, if before is GUID, I do this. Can I get away with this? And after is GUID. There we go. We're going to create a bar result equals new enhanced change of user. We're going to enrich this properly. Forget this name equals name. Then we're going to do result dot. See, now I have user. I don't have object. Object's completely hidden from me at this point because my implementation of this class has overridden before and after as being user. So I can do this. So we can do before equals, this is going to be user before. I'm going to end up with nullables. Result that after equals, because it's await. You don't have await first. And this is going to come back. We're going to have to solve this problem eventually. But the reality is, I'm not going to have this data. I'm not going to have. Well, there's a potential that this information isn't available to me at this point. So at some point, I'm going to have to put a validation in here that says, okay, do I actually have this information yet? And if not, and that's just do it that way. User after. So yeah, if I don't have this information yet, I'm going to have to at some point say, defer this message. Sorry, I'm kind of thinking about it at the same time and thinking about something else. So I'm gonna have to defer this message and say, oh well, I don't have all the information I need yet. So there's going to be way more complexity here. But what I want to do is see if I can actually get an enhanced change to be published, because then I can establish that pattern and I can probably switch to the UI side of things, build that out as the changes, and come back around on this. Return null. So let's make that nullable. They're nullable. They're nullable. And actually, we're going to make that. String name. Oh. And then we'll just move that there. Cleans that up a little bit, makes it a bit more readable. Is not implemented. What's not implemented? Oh, because I'm. We'll make that. Yeah, it's perfectly acceptable for that to be null. So then what we do here is var resolver.resolve, and then we can take change.key, change.ru.item1. Ooh, went out of the cancellation token. Yeah, I do not. Do I want to async all the things? Yes, I do. Async task of thing, enhance, cancellation token, cancellation token. I want this to be able to especially being that I'm accessing the database and all sorts underneath. I want to be able to change that out afterwards. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that. And that's going to be the same thing. Task thing. We're going to thing equals new thing. Source user equals. So we're going to need a resolver in here as well. Which is interesting because that's got. See, that's a. I don't need. I only need this line, essentially. So var repository equals service provider, get required service, repository of user, repository dot, and then that would be change details dot source user identifier. Source user, what's that? And then change, and then that's that. And then what we can do is you can do await. Well, actually, this is just a task. Enhance import because we're going to pass the reference to the thing down. Await, enhance, import, ref thing, change details, cancellation token. That'll enhance this. This will go through these. So this right now would remove any changes it can't resolve. So that's a problem. It's not going to work on everything. We need cancellation token. That's that. That's a task. That's okay. Time to get ready for some training. Hopefully I can stay awake through it this morning. I'm still pretty tired. I bet. I'm sorry you had quite a rough vacation. I hope the times when you weren't dealing with those problems were at least good. But have a great day, Coding Craftsman. Again, if you haven't been there before, Coding Craftsman is a streamer. Does a bit of variety actually. Does some .NET dev, application dev. Does some game dev, and it's a nice chill place to hang out, which is good. So what this is going to do is we're going to do enhanced version dot. We're going to add dot. We're going to make a mess. Dot changes dot add. You too. Have a great day. Okay. So that's what I'm thinking, roughly. Um, so what this would do, um, I'm thinking we would have public interface enhanced change. So that we have the type security in there. I mean, it's not necessary. I could set everything to object. It's just easier than making that mistake. I've got the type safety. Public class, general change, enhanced change. String name. So you don't need to do that when you have, yeah, that's fine though. So this would do new enhanced version dot changes dot add new general change. And it would take change dot key, change dot value dot item one, change dot value dot item two. What don't you like about that? Oh, before equals that, after equals that. Bit of readability, it's fine. Formatting gets really crazy when you have lots of unknown pieces. So the strange thing here is change details here. And let's do it this way, public class enhanced. I'm gonna I'm gonna stick on the word enhanced right this second. Because at least at a glance, even if I refactor this, at least at a glance, I'll see all the enhanced pieces and know that they're distinct from the actual changes. If I kind of call them changes plus or something like that, when I'm just looking at things, I'm not necessarily going to see those things for when I refactor them later. And again, there's a big challenge here in that if the data actually isn't available, this can't proceed. So this has to queue. Um, um, so eh, yeah, there's lots more to do here. So we're gonna do a lot of this anyway. And what I just decided to do in line was a little bit uh, wrong because I'm actually going to serialize out the entire user and send that out. So I'm basically saying, here's a snapshot of the user as I have it right this second. And that's not really good, but again, I'm trying to move this to visible rather than like just trying to overthink this. So once I see that, I can decide how to refine it, how to clean things up. Um, yeah, so enhanced change details. Entity type still matters. So let's do this. Public get set. Forgot to do that before. Public string source user. Actually, yeah, I can't. Public class, public string, public period, identifier, public string name, public string email. Don't need that. Why bother making it? I had to kind of like records just from the succinctness when I'm creating really simple objects. And I'm using them immutably anyway, right? So I don't. It's perfectly fine to do it this way. User info. So we're going to drop source user identifier off there. It will be set. And now this equals null. It has to be set. So this is an enhanced change details. If source user is null, I know I'm going to come back around on this. This is a silly throw, but again, if even in my testing that I'm about to try and do, if that happens, I'm going to find it, right? So yeah. So this is a new user info source user dot identifier, source user dot name, source user dot email. Again, identifier equals change details dot identifier. Entity type equals change details dot entity type. Occurred on equals change details dot occurred on. Right. Details. So that, I have that. That. Okay. So that's the ref. Oh, because this resolves an enhanced change. We've got a too much class in the screen sort of problem. So is that an enumerable of them? The problem is I'm going to have to adapt this again to publish it. I can't. Enhanced change isn't going to live in the event. So to publish this, I'm going to have to adapt it anyway. And that's a problem. finite processor. Let's say enumerable. So if we did list enhanced changes equals that, and then we did changes add. What you like? Oh wait, that needs async. That is an interesting challenge. If I can't resolve it, I return null. Overloading that term, enhanced. Because that enhanced. I mean, essentially I'm doing this, right? I'm doing that if that's not. And then we set enhanced version dot changes equals async, and we can have ref. Say a challenge of that. Ugh. It'll still work because it's passed by reference anyway. It'll modify it. It's just I kind of prefer the explicit nature. And again, it's now not quite. Like now it feels like I want to reverse that so that the enhanced returns the enhanced change details. Right. So we do that. We don't pass it by reference, right? We remove that. And then this is a task of enhanced change, which does read better. It does, yeah. Well, so this moves up here. And then the only downside is these have to be set independently afterwards, but that's okay. So enhanced details dot, then that. Whoa, just randomly smacking the keys. So that's not really ideal, but it's details. Because that's what's expected anyway. And change details. And then we do return you enhance change details with changes. Ooh. It's kind of working. So this is something similar. Right. So what I need to do over here, by the way, is I need to, in the change receivers, I would need to do services.add transient. Yeah, add transient because this isn't going to run scoped without me making some extra effort. So we have the user change resolver. We have the planning item processor, I suppose, would be added. And transient planning item processor. So rather than doing anything fancy right this second, I'm going to follow the same pattern. Right? And instead of doing this factory.fetch, we're going to do another dictionary. Bar processors. What? Private eye enumerable, private eye dictionary. Oh, string type resolvers, processors. What's new? I'm gonna have planning item. That one's, yeah, I don't have any hard coded things for that. This is going to be typo planning item processor. So we're going to do processors. It's going to be the same pattern. If try get value, that's the key. Out. I change processor. Did I base that off anything? Did I make it changes processor base? Public interface. I changes processor. Task. Enhance change details. Enhance change details. Yeah, that should work. I change this processor. Result equals wait. Oh man, not fair. Oh, processor type. Processor equals I change this processor provider dot get required service. We need it to fall over if in the event that we can't find these things right in a second. I don't want to hide any behavior by it just succeeding on something. So especially now, being that I'm kind of prototyping it, building it, refining it, this isn't going to be the end. So I don't want to hide any potential failure. And then what we do here is we do publisher dot publish, and then this would be, command dot change details dot entity dot identifier, because that's the key of the thing. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. We'll come back around on that one. That might not be quite valid. But either way, result, success, result dot conflict. Call it conflict. That's roughly what should happen right a second. Hey, Napalm. Good morning. Good day. Hope you are well. What are we complaining about? Converting null literal possible null into a non-nullable value type, non-nullable type. But why is that? It's going to be a type. That's what try get value is meant to do. Yeah, that's clean. I'll agree to that part. Except it needs that. It, the reason I write it the other way is because this always confuses me that like the scope of this is beyond here. So to me, it kind of should live in the if scenario, but processor type is actually set down here if this worked. So from a readability perspective, that does break my brain a little bit. And again, using the service provider, not really wholly comfortable with, but I think it works for now. So what we've got there is the ability to say, okay, well, we've got a change resolver and a plan item processor. Anything that doesn't have a resolver should actually get put out as default anyway. So there should be no harm. This should enhance the stream of data. I mean, yeah, let's break these out into separate files and see what happens quickly before I have to finish up. What I will do is if I can kind of work on this today or this evening, oh, that is the padding iron processor. I will try and test this, get it working initially. Move to another file, enhance change. Change resolver. Yeah, this got complicated quick. Resolvers, that makes sense. Okay, so we have a processor. The processor goes to see if it's got resolvers. We can hard code, well, essentially hard code these right this second. Then they will calculate the changes. A lot of them are gonna look the exact same. I think this is going to adapt, right? This might not be user. This might be some sort of other type. Because this might be kind of like that user info data. But ultimately, this will get sent out. The serialized form will get sent out. Okay. Well, I do apologize. It is the time to end the stream, unfortunately. If you are a dev streamer, fantastic as always. Well, then, thank you very much for the support. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate the this positive. The community on Twitch is amazing. I really do. I do appreciate it. Trap, good morning. Hope you're well. So yeah, as I said, in a couple of weeks, there'll be some gaps in the streams. I am traveling for work twice in the next month or two. So, yeah, within a month of each other, I think. So yeah. Okay. Um, Everyone's starting, but no one's actually. Okay, I'm gonna have to raid and run. I'm going to raid C sharp Fritz. I'm gonna take you over there. But I do have to run. So my apologies. He's just starting up, but I do see that some of you are already in there, so that'll be good. Um, Take care all. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye all.